Learning from adult role models who are deaf or hard of hearing, presented by Outreach Programs, the Colorado School for the Deaf and the Blind. The CSDB logo is displayed with the tagline, Learning, Thriving, Leading. Our presenter is seated on a carpeted step in a reading corner of a kindergarten classroom. He is communicating in sign language with voice narration. Captions are below on screen. Title, Bryan.
Hi, I'm Bryan Ortiz. I'm originally from Puerto Rico, a small island. I was born deaf, second generation deaf. I have two older cousins and they're deaf. The deafness in my family skipped a generation. So 3 of us are deaf and everybody else is hearing. I have a great life.
Title, Family Support.
My parents and family are very supportive, 100%. They were really wonderful. My mom and I are really close because she was willing to learn sign from the time I was a baby. And it was always her goal to be able to communicate with me. She always wanted the best future for me. I grew up in Florida. We moved from Puerto Rico to Florida because the education was better. In Puerto Rico, the education was so-so. So we moved for my education. I grew up in a mainstream setting. I used hearing aids to communicate with my hearing peers until about middle school. And then I started going to the Florida School for the Deaf. And I loved it there. There were students and groups of all different levels. My mom was very supportive. My freshman year, we moved to Colorado for my dad's job. So I wanted to see what the deaf school was all about. I got there and I was really shocked at how small it was. Not like Florida School for the Deaf. Florida School for the Deaf was huge, like 500 students in the high school. And here, there were less than 100. So that was a big change for me. But as I went along, I really enjoyed my time here at CSDB.
There were a variety of communication levels, and I had to be able to match my communication with those who I was communicating with. So I had to be able to communicate with a variety of different students on all different levels. This is a skill that'll really be useful for college because I'll come in contact with a lot of different people, and to be able to match with their conversational style or level is really going to help me be able to communicate better with them.
Title, Communication and Utilizing Technology.
Communicating in the hearing world presents a lot of challenges. When I was in public school, I used a hearing aid. I was able to use my voice to speak with some of my friends and peers, but sometimes they would misunderstand me, and it was a real challenge. Communication in the classroom setting was also a challenge. Watching the teacher as she was teaching, if another student raised their hand to talk, or if other students started talking in the classroom, I would just be lost. I felt left out. Luckily, I did have an interpreter to depend on, but it didn't give me full access. When I got into high school, I asked my parents if I really needed to continue with my speech therapy. We decided that I didn't. We decided that my hearing aids were not benefiting me. We decided to stop using my hearing aids as well. Looking back over my last 4 years of high school, yes, I've been here in a deaf school environment, but at the same time I've had to communicate with people in the hearing world as well. So I've done this through pen and paper, texting on my iPhone. It's really important to be creative when you're trying to communicate with hearing people. The one thing that I can't live without is music. Yeah, I love music. When I'm in my room, really anywhere, when I'm listening to music, I use my hearing aid to listen to music. In the outside world, for example, at school or talking with hearing people, I take my hearing aid off. Really, the sound and the noise is just kind of annoying. But music, that's beautiful noise. I noticed that a lot of my deaf friends had parents that didn't know how to sign. They always told me how lucky I was to have a mother that signed so well. I agreed, of course. But I wanted to help my friends whose parents didn't know how to sign. So my advice to you as parents, if you have a deaf child, the best way to begin is just simply by sitting with your child. Let your child express himself. It doesn't matter if you understand every single word, but it's important that you're actively interacting with your child. It's important to build that relationship. It's a powerful thing. If your child feels confident in that relationship, later on, if situations arise, they're going to know that you'll be there for them. Your child will know that you'll be there to listen.
Title: Advice for Teachers.
What happens in school really applies to your life. So it's important that the teachers have high expectations for your children just like you do. It's important to monitor your child. They have a lot of potential. Have high expectations for your child. And to make sure that in school they're not just sliding by. I encourage you to contact the school and talk with each of your child's teachers. Explain the expectations that you have for your child. I guarantee that when your child sees that the parents and the teachers are on the same page, they're going to get moving. There's a good reason behind this. If the teachers have those high expectations in mind, later on when your child's a senior, it's going to make a big difference in their achievement and their success in college or their future jobs.
Title: Being Deaf.
Even though you may identify yourself as a deaf person, you're still part of a hearing world. You might be walking in public, and it happens that a hearing person notices you and may look at you funny, or maybe they're just curious. My suggestion to you is don't give them an attitude. Because when you give that hearing person an attitude, that hearing person might think that all deaf people have that kind of attitude. And that's just not true. The key word is education. Let them know, yeah, I'm deaf, but I just have a hearing loss, that's all. You and I are the same. Mentally, we're both humans. We walk, we run. All sorts of things are the same. There's just one difference, one simple difference. I have a hearing loss. So it's really important to educate them.
Title: Goals.
In the future, I would like to work as a film editor. Same as you see in Hollywood. You know, they shoot the movies and they edit everything, and the finished product just looks beautiful. And so that's really my main goal. But you got to start with the basics. So I'm going to have to learn about the cameras, the equipment, how to edit, the graphic design, learn the basics. And then once I've accomplished that, then yeah, my hope is to be able to chase that dream and be a film editor.
Learning from adult role models who are deaf or hard of hearing has been a production of the Colorado School for the Deaf and the Blind, 33 North Institute Street, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80903, 719-578-2100, www.csdb.org. Videography by Deb Branch and Sean Levier. Copyright 2014.
Audio description, Jim Olson. Editing assistants, Diane Covington, Dr. Laura Douglas. Captioning, Neil Anthony Thomas, Corey McCormick. Transcription, Eleanor Vasquez.